You spread the weight out, you make a couple of trips or something, it's a lot easier. The Bogner Cube cab, I think, weighs about 35 pounds.
It's not very heavy.
It's not very heavy, it's really compact, and the Peters head, I think, weighs 22 pounds. So you can get one in each hand and you're good, but it's still too loud for the apartment. So I've been looking for something that fits the bill a little bit better. It's not bad, but I don't think it's the ultimate thing either. So that's my situation. What do you do?
Well, I still use one small combo, Mesa F30, and it's okay, and it's a very small for a combo. It's got a vintage 30 in it, but the cab's so small, there's like a ½ inch from the end of the speaker to either side of the cab. Other than that, though, I've switched over to where I'm using all custom cabinets, and then I'm using, well, for the most part, I guess custom heads in here too.
What are your needs right now? What kind of stuff are you doing mostly?
Well, I'll tell you, I kind of get what I need, but I do it by mixing and matching all the time. There's no one thing I can use that's going to fill the bill.
What is the bill though? Is it you playing out, or are you doing mostly home recording?
This is all at home now at this stage.
So it's whatever kind of mood you're in, sort of thing.
Yeah, and there's really no small amp out there that's going to cover all the bases right now.
Right.
I mean, by the time if I find one that's really good at a crunch sound, I can't get a decent sound out of it. And I ended up going with the Mark III for the high gain tone, but that's way more wattage than I needed. I just couldn't find anything in a small enough size for it. A lot of times I end up controlling the volume by, I buy numerous speakers, and I found if I buy speakers purposely with a very low SPL on them, a whole lot less volume comes out of the end. It's like, you know, you can go out and buy an eminent speaker that's rated at 102. You can go out and find an old Jensen that's rated at 92, and they'll think how much 3 decibels is the difference, and you've got a 10 decibel drop just by choosing a different speaker.
With the same power when you're just switching from one speaker to the next?
You go to the other one, the drop in volume is tremendous, going from one over to the other. But the problem is, most of the lower SPL speakers are more along the line of like the old Jensen Elmerdos and that type of thing. You don't really have a hard rock metal speaker down in that range, so you end up making it.
So what are you, what kind of volume levels are you actually looking for your usual needs?
Yeah, do you like to really just crank it when no one's home? I mean, I have so much fun doing that.
I like to get the sound of a cranked amp, but my hearing is already partly gone in one ear, and I even wear earplugs most of the time when I play. So I'm not out to rattle the windows anymore.
So we're all dying for the sound, but we don't all need the size of the volume.
Right, if you could get that exact tone like you get when you're blasting on stage, but have it coming out at AM radio level or something, you know, just so you could you have the right tone, but you don't. I'd like to take the earplugs out.
Yeah, maybe television volume or
well, I think
conversation volume.
You also have to, I think, the physics of the thing is, and I'm no physicist clearly, but I think the physics of the thing is that you have to have at least 112 to get a certain kind of sound. And the other thing is, people will argue about this, but generally I've found the cab has to be on the floor.
Yeah.
If you lift the cab up on a stand or put it on something, you're not getting that vibration through the floor that rattles your...
You lose the low end.
You lose your low end. You lose that fun feeling in your below the belt area, and you know, all of a sudden you've lost something. Your turn. What are your needs?
All right. Well, I'm somebody that's been playing a long time, but hasn't been in a band in a very long time also, and I still have a couple Marshall heads, one of them that I bought brand new back in 1979. It's useless to me now, but of course I still enjoy plugging it into the 412. And you know, on 10, it sounds like Michael Schenker. I mean, I don't sound like Michael Schenker, but you know, that's the kind of sound that I like. You know, the hot rod Marshall sound. And you know, for practicing, I just use a Vox Tone Lab into a Crate Power Block into a 212. That sounds, you know, I'd say you get about 80% of, you know, it sounds good. It doesn't sound, you never get it 100%. All these, you know, things like pods and, you know, all that kind of stuff that they come out with now, it's really surprisingly good, but you're never going to get all the way there. I think my ideal, which I'm still searching for, you know, give me something that's maybe 20 to 30 watts, maybe 2 EL34s or equivalent, like KT77, you know, something you could switch it down to even lower, you know, like cut off one of the tubes. I like an amp that, when it's full bore, you got a great rhythm sound, you know, think Judas Priest to, you know, like I said, UFO, something that you can push the front end to get your lead sound. But the main thing for me is, the older I get, I want, maybe this has something more to do with pickups, you know, guitar pickups, but I want something where you turn that volume down, it clears up really well. I don't want to have to fuck around with 2 or 3 channels. I like Jeb, simplicity. The older you get, you just don't want to mess around with that crap. Give me an amp that'll clean up, turn your guitar up, sounds great rhythm. For a solo, push it. As far as, you know, I only play it, you know, in my house. When all the people leave, I turn up, but that's all from, you know, my own pleasure.
Would you play more if you had something, you know, with the people in the house?
Well, the thing I was looking at the show today, you know, I don't know if it would be the ultimate solution, but like I said, the best sound, especially for when you're talking about cabinets, everybody's complaining that even a 112 sounds too loud, and that's true. I was looking at a couple people that make isolation cabinets where, you know, the sound is contained inside the box, it's totally sealed, and it's got a microphone inside, so it's pushing the speaker, and you know, it's making the speaker move, which you really need, but you can still, you know, the volume coming out of that box is very low, and then you can take the microphone input and re-amplify it, add delay or whatever, and that's probably the next place I'm going to go. Now, whether I'll get to 100% satisfaction is still, you know, remains to be seen, but that's probably where I'd head to next.
It's interesting though. I've heard mixed things about the isolation boxes.
Well,
and
it's a work in progress, you know, but it's just an avenue. That's like, okay, what am I going to try next?
Yeah.
You know, it's something where you can have a reasonable volume. Are you still going to get that? Is that isolation going to affect the sound? You're going to get the sound of the speaker you want? I don't know. I saw something that looked good. Whether it works or not in my situation, you know, I couldn't say, but it's something to think about. That concept, I think.
I'd try those for recording, but live, that would scare the hell out of me.
I don't think.
I'm just talking about for.
Yeah, because I mean, like in a live situation, okay, we cut the volume down so the singer's not crying, but
it's like a blanket.
then
so
you gotta rely on the monitor guy to not fuck the monitor mix up.
Yeah,
you know?
It would be hard in a live situation, but I'm just talking about if you're a home recorder and you want to get your good sound.
Yeah, at home I think it'd be great.
Well, it's in theory it's great, but in practice I've heard, like I said, I've heard mixed things. I don't know if you've probably heard some stuff too.
I've owned one of